Crime surges in major cities across the U.S. with flash mob looting now filling the streets of Los Angeles. In New York City, a convicted sex offender fractured a man's skull, was freed without bail, and then rearrested on a probation charge after just being charged with a misdemeanor initially. All while 3 suspects turned themselves in for the fatal beating of a taxi driver. Joining us now to discuss National Fallen Officer Foundation and retired Dallas police officer Tre Pennie. Tre, thanks for being here. I mean, in any one of these cases, you can lay out the particulars, which are tragic and reflect a total lawlessness and a lack of accountability. These folks don't believe they'll be held accountable for it. What, if anything, could be done in the immediate to stem this tide, or is this a political problem?
Yeah, well, it's definitely a political problem. You know, this trend has been going on for the last several months, and we have not been able to get a hold of it because the bottom line is the criminals understand that they're not being prosecuted for bad behavior. And on the other side, the criminals also understand that law enforcement simply does not have the resources in order to be able to combat this crime. Now, let's think about these flash mobs that have been happening across the country. I mean, I've been seeing them in L.A. really bad. It's not like these things are happening by happenstance. I mean, these groups are actually being organized on social media. These private groups are being organized, and they're using encrypted apps to get ahead of law enforcement. So they're all showing up at one place, and before law enforcement even know, they would have already ramshacked and taken over these stores and robbed everyone. So we have to get ahead of this, and we know that the young people that are committing this crime are range between the ages of 11 and 44. And look, we got to find a way to combat this very thing, which is one of the reasons I went to Congress. I testified before the judiciary last month. And I indicated that we have to find a way to start prosecuting these young individuals for federal crimes. Look, if you look at the federal nexus and how they're committing these crimes, they're using organized tactics. I mean, this on its face is RICO, and we could be going after these individuals for RICO and putting them behind bars for long periods of time if we're willing to do it. Get it away from these leftist DAs that don't want to do their job. Let's go and put it in the purview of the federal government. If we're willing to do it. So, Tre, getting ahead of it's part of it, but even after the fact, could you not comb through the footage, identify those individuals, hold them accountable, prosecute them, and set an example, do it time and time again? I mean, that's tough police work. Maybe they don't have the resources. I don't know in Los Angeles. But that type of accountability, feels like, is the only thing at this moment that's going to stop the next flash mob or the next one. Yeah. You're absolutely right. But see, what's happening is law enforcement can do that, and they will do that. And they'll take these same cases and they'll put them before their same DAs. It's ultimately up to the DA whether or not they're going to prosecute it. Yes. Now, what I've said is because we know we're running into this problem, let's go ahead and look at the totality of the circumstances. Let's look at how they're organized, and let's call this organized crime. If we take this organized crime, we can just take it over to the U.S. District Attorney's Office and then prosecute it that way with the federal nexus. A different form of organized crime, which opens up other authorities and opportunities for law enforcement to do something about it. Interesting idea. Dr. Tre Pennie, thank you so much for your time this morning. Thank you for having me. Yes, sir.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.